I'm just giving you the brief, the terminology. And the third thing is container. We know the application of virtual machines and how to deploy the applications on the virtual machines. We don't know how to deploy the application on containers. So I tell you how the applications are deployed in the container and why it is efficient. So I have one Docker file, one Docker daemon, which helps us to create the Docker images. Here are the Docker images, Docker file, and these are the container. The images runs the container. C1, C2, multiple containers, C4. Okay. I write a script here inside the Docker file, and what are the scripts? The scripts are nothing but the commands like run the Docker image here. Docker images are there. Run the Docker image, update the Docker image, update it, delete image, pull and push, like that. These are the commands. I run the Docker image. Docker image is what exactly the Docker image? It is stored where? It is stored inside the Docker hub, and this Docker has a hub as Docker daemon. It is going to be descriptive now. See, this Docker daemon is the heart of all the Docker thing, and this Docker has three things: Docker script, Docker daemon, and container. Whenever I run the Docker script, that hey Docker, can you please run the Docker images? What you have inside the Docker hub? I pull back the Docker images and I run the Docker image, and this Docker images creates the two container here. Okay, now I have the container. Now I'm asking this Docker image, hey Docker image, can you please deploy my application in your container? And the Docker image said, okay, I'll deploy this application. But what is the use of this? You can deploy your application in the VM instances also. Why you are deploying inside my containers? Then a wise person said, let me brief you why I'm deploying inside your containers. So what the functionality of the container? Let me tell you how the container is being created. So suppose you have one PC. Why I'm talking only about the PC? Because you are seeing your PC, not anything else. Correct? You have your own PC. You are not seeing your any links. I'm telling you the procedure here. So on the top of that, you have one hypervisor software. Okay, that hypervisor software helps you to create the virtual instances. Okay, you have multiple instances. Okay, V1, V2, V3, V4. Now I'm talking about your one of virtual instance. This hypervisor it is, and you have one instance VM1. And on the top of the virtual instance, you are creating containers C1, C2, C3. And this virtual machine has one operating system. Or else, what you can do, you can create the container inside your PC as well without using hypervisor and virtual machine. Easily you can create the container C1, C2, C3. This PC has one operating system. This virtual machine also has one operating system. And all these virtual machines has their own operating system inside that practice, this virtualization practice, VM practice. This is the Docker practice. So what is the better way? Tell me you. I have one application. It needed 5 GB of storage and 2 CPUs, and I have the virtual machine of 100 GB storage and 100 CPUs, and I'm deploying this application inside that virtual machine. Is it a good practice? Is it a good practice to deploy the applications? No. Why? Because I'm not utilizing the resources what I have. If I deploy the applications inside this virtual machine, how am I utilizing the space? I needed only 5 GB and 2. I'm wasting 95 GB. As a DevOps engineer, you should always think about utilizing the spaces, utilizing all the resources, whatever you have in your company. Because company is paying for these resources and you are not using. And all the virtual instances have a huge amount of storage, but your applications needed only this much storage. You are wasting. Whenever you are wasting something, then you should think about the containers, Dockers, and all these terminologies, these practices, how to run the application inside the container. And now I'm telling you, like whatever amount of virtual machines you have, you can also create the containers of that same equal amount by using only one operating system. It has 100 CPUs, 100 GB storage, and each container is capable of running 5 GB application and 2 CPUs. Now you can run application easily, and you are not unutilizing. You are not wasting your resources. Now you got the idea why I was saying that you are wasting your resources, and that is not a good practice as a DevOps engineer to follow. If you want to be a good DevOps engineer, you should always think, please utilize your resources. Always think. Utilizing the resources is one of the most key points. So because all containers are using only one operating system, and here all virtual machines has their own operating system. They were taking more resources. Here the less number of resources, but highly productive, highly scalable. That's why for deploying the application, we always use Docker and container mode. And to manage the container, we use Kubernetes. Here the Kubernetes comes in the picture. Now your path is clear. Okay, inside the Kubernetes, how it groups the pods and all the Docker and container, these things, the Kubernetes manages. Why we use the Kubernetes orchestration? Because it is a manager. It manages everything. That's why we use the term orchestration. You might have heard about it. You guys, you would have heard about it or not? We already practiced multiple times in the Cloud Studies IM and multiple Google competitions. These things, these are the labs available in the Google skill. So these are good things you should always learn if you are following some of the things. So till here you should know, if you really want to be a good developer, if you really want to be a good DevOps engineer, you should learn till this much. Once you have the idea about these things now, nobody can stop you to get a good job. Nobody. I'm telling you, industry need good DevOps engineer.